Welcome, everyone, to another Counterpoint conversation. I am Marc Einstein, a research director, and I am here at MWC Barcelona 2025 live. The show is just about to end in a few hours, and so I want to give some of my takeaways from the show, and I am joined by my colleague,
Gareth, Owen. So I'm an associate director at Counterpoint.
Gareth. What were some of your key takeaways from the show this year?
Well, I looked at a number of different things from obviously from the network side, monetization, I think was the big theme kind of thing. But another area that I sort of looked at for the first time was on the AI data service and AI data centers. So I went around, most of these big server vendors like Supermicro, Dell, HP, etc. were here, and AI data servers was very much forefront on their stance. So they're offering sort of three solutions. First of all, the NVIDIA solution, either with Intel or with the Grace Hopper solution. Then the Intel and the Gaudi 3, and then the AMD with their CPU and their GPU, the MI350, 300. Sorry. So I think that's what we see is that the power is going up in these AI servers. And one thing I noticed quite a bit was that all these server manufacturers, they have liquid cooling systems now. There's so much power, and they're trying to make sure that they can keep the cooling systems or the servers cool. So that was very much in the forefront. The other thing that sort of caught my sort of notice was the AI data centers. So the telcos are actually getting involved in building their own AI data centers. So, for example, SK Telecom had a big sort of in the middle of their stand, a big AI data center signed. I went in there several times. But I think this is kind of a new opportunity for the telcos. I mean, I'm sure you remember 5 years ago when we had Mac, this edge computing stuff, which the telcos never really managed to develop.
Right.
But now with Gen I, there is a lot of interest from everywhere in AI data centers. The governments are pushing this. Every country wants to have its own AI factory. So they're looking for, and I think data sovereignty is a major issue as well. So these governments are looking for trusted partners.
Right.
So I think there's an opportunity here for the telcos to actually either develop the data centers, build the data centers themselves, or with partners. And if they're not involved in that, I think there's a big opportunity in actually connecting all these data centers.
Right.
Because a lot of them are actually being located at places where there is sort of cheap electricity.
Right.
So it could be in the middle of a desert.
Right.
In order to make and use solar cells, or could be next to a hydroelectric plant.
Right.
So there's an opportunity to connect all these data servers together and bring the services to the public where the population level kind of thing.
Right.
Or even though so I think at the end of the day, maybe Mac will still have its day in the sun if this idea actually finally materializes.
So actually, one question I would have for you is, when we talk about NVIDIA's earnings, especially, which is something everyone's looking at now, it's all about the hyperscalers and how they're becoming AI data centers. But are we at the point at the hardware level where smaller data centers can become an AI data center?
I think, well, one of the other things that I noticed is that a lot of edge data center equipment here. So a lot of these, I was on the Dell stand, for example.
Right.
I had lots of examples of new applications working together with Intel. So developing edge sort of applications. So this is either some enterprise edge,
right,
or even telco edge. So
right.
It's not all about the big data centers, the training. I think we're looking now at sort of getting some traction on the inference side,
right,
and that trickles down from the big companies to the smaller companies. But okay, it depends on the applications, and I think the server manufacturers are sort of working quite hard to try and develop these applications. Enterprises can actually just take them and use them.
Right. So I think, from my end, because I'm now looking at telecom networks and more telecom services, I think there were a few interesting things. So basically when we talked to the RAN vendors, there was a lot of discussion about, of course, AI. But what I found very striking was, we've seen a lot of like co-pilots for operations management, and also energy usage. I think were the two things that came up a lot. But some of the vendors were saying that they could potentially reduce RAN opex by 40%.
Yeah.
And I mean, that might be a very lofty goal, but if that's true, that would really change the financial outlook of the telco industry, which would be very exciting. Um, so that's the big thing that I saw on the network side. I think on the services side, we are starting to see some AI assisted services come into the market, which I think will be commercialized pretty soon. So Deutsche Telekom had their AI Magenta phone, which is kind of using AI as opposed to apps. And so that's interesting, like AI as an interface. I think maybe the favorite thing for me was that SK Telecom in Korea developed a service where you can basically just talk into an app and it can diagnose cancer of the esophagus. And so it totally replaces a tube that you need to put in there. Amazing. T-Mobile also had basically using Wi-Fi as a sensor. So if somebody broke into your home, it could actually detect that there's somebody in your house that shouldn't be there. It can distinguish a cat versus a dog versus a child versus a grown adult. And it can even tell your heart rate and how you're breathing. So if you stop breathing, all you would need, like a nursing home, all they would need is a Wi-Fi router, which to me is amazing. And I think they can do all sorts of stuff with that. And then I think, we also saw a lot of people with anti-deepfake technology. So LGU Plus in Korea had a service where if you're getting a cloned phone call, because this is actually starting to happen, people are starting to impersonate people on the phone using Gen AI and get money. They have something that if they detect a fake voice, that it will tell you, like, this is not real. And so we're also seeing people try to fight back. So I think, it's very early days, but there certainly are ways that telcos are looking to both cut costs and monetize Gen AI. And so that's very exciting.
Yeah.
Those were our takeaways from MWC 2025. Thank you for watching.